Hi, and welcome to another episode of Edge of Ed. This is Bruce Wolcott. Today, we're talking with Archana Alwar. She's an instructor and a mentor for other faculty here at Bellevue College. So I'm going to introduce you, Archana, and if you could tell us a little bit more about your current work and what you do at Bellevue College.
Yes, thank you so much, Bruce. My name is Archana Alwar, and I have been teaching Spanish in the World Languages Department since 2002. I'm also currently the adjunct mentoring lead at Faculty Commons, and I have been with Faculty Commons since 2017.
Oh, thank you. And today's topic really is one of interest to lots of instructors and school administrators right now is how are we adapting to COVID-19? And one of the adaptations that you're very familiar with and consult with and advise faculty has to do with hybrid classes. And I'm wondering if you could explain what a hybrid class is, why we're looking at hybrid classes, and what instructors should be thinking about if they're looking at a hybrid situation.
Yes, thank you so much, Bruce. So as we know, when COVID started in March 2020, everybody went for online for about a year. But as we know, the college wants more on-ground classes, regardless if it's daily classes or hybrid classes. And that's where we have been supporting faculty how to start doing the transition from all online to hybrid. As we know, it has been mentioned that the college would like to increase the face-to-face offerings. And why not start thinking about possible models for hybrid learning?
I'm wondering, you had mentioned a definition for hybrid classes that I'd never heard before. And could you describe what that is?
Yes. So what is hybrid teaching? It's a combination of online activities and in-classroom activities where in-person meetings are used for more active learning. As we know, the social presence is very helpful because it reduces isolation. Hybrid courses are those that are 25 to 70% of class is conducted online, because research has shown us that hybrid classes can increase flexibility for students and increase engagement for both us faculty and students.
So one of the things that you'd mentioned to me had to do with different models for hybrid classes that are being used at different schools. University of Vermont, I think, was the link that you showed me, but you're looking at other options as well. Could you explain what those models are?
So the University of Vermont have shown hybrid models that we can take a look, and based on our content, on our classes, on our department, we can choose models. For example, the alternating model, the replacement model, the split model, the front end model, the back end model, and the book end model. One of the hybrid models that they have been using, especially in public schools, is the hyflex. And I know that some of our faculty at Bellevue College, they have been using this model, is where we use technology and we give students options to come to our classes in person or to take the class online in their home or outside the classroom.
And this means, excuse me, Archana, this means that this just happened at Bellevue College, where the college now has installed equipment, video cameras and document cameras to provide the possibility to deliver the course simultaneously in the classroom as it's being delivered online, correct? And so yes, that's a hyflex classroom, is that correct?
That's correct. That's the hyflex, and it just gives flexibility to students to choose if they want to be in class or outside.
And so is this something that instructors have to abide by, or can they choose to say mandate that all students be in the classroom, or all students, they could only They'll only be available online, or how does that work? How do instructors gauge what level of HyFlex they want?
That's a great question. And that's something that as instructors, they should be discussing in their department. What is the goal for them and their students? If it's a language class, for example, and they need students to be in class to do active learning, that's something that needs to be discussed. So if participation is important, then that participation should be added to the syllabi where students need to be in class. If that's an option, then it should not be required for students to be inside the classroom.
I see. You know, one of the things that you had mentioned to me, and this was just prior to our getting together for the podcast today, was that you had 3 areas of emphasis that you see as being extremely important when instructors are looking at hybrid teaching situations. And could you cover those right now?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Bruce. So one of the 3 aspects that I think is really important when we decide to do hybrid classes is accessibility. Because we're going to have students working online, we need to make sure that the technology that they're going to be required to be using, the design that we're going to be using, the content pages, the documents, they need to be accessible. Also, engagement. Whatever type of hybrid model we decide to use, we need to make sure that we increase student engagement either in the class or through the computer.
I wanted to just interrupt. I'm sorry here, but when you talk about engagement, I mean, I guess a lot of faculty have in mind that the way they deliver a class online is they do a lecture and they record it, and then they put it online, and then they have students do a quiz. And you're looking at something very different here. And I was wondering if you could just touch on how you're seeing increasing student engagement in this kind of online teaching environment.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for bringing up quizzes. Adding quizzes to modules after students watch a tutorial or a lecture done by the instructor, I think that's perfectly fine because it can work as a low-stake assessment. But also we need to be looking at assignments, activities where students perhaps can complete the homework together. So these are interactive activities. So always finding a balance between individual work and group activities. Another option that we could be using is to be encouraging students to use discussion boards to ask other students where they can post questions so everybody can respond. And that's just a type of engagement outside the classroom. But whatever type of model, of hybrid model we choose, we always have to keep in mind that the time that we spend in the classroom, we need to have active learning and just increase that participation portion that students may not be getting that much online.
I see. And then there was the third one. I think it had to do with resources, I believe. Could you provide some background for that as well?
Yes, thank you. So when we decide for a hybrid model class, we need to make sure that do we have the resources? Do we have support? We need to check if our classroom has the technology to have the hybrid learning. If we're going to be using, for example, the hyflex model, where students have an option to be in class or to be at home taking the class. If we're going to be choosing that hyflex model, we need to make sure that we have the technology in the classroom, that all the students in the classroom have a laptop or access to a desktop so everybody can be online at the same time and have that engagement, that active learning.
In some cases, I believe the access to a laptop can be done on campus, right? I mean, in this case, at Bellevue College, we have a computer lab with a lot of computers. So there's that option, but then it means students need to be on campus versus off campus, and that may not work for some students. So that's an area of concern I know you've talked about with me before.
Yes, exactly. So if we're going to be doing the hyflex model, then we need to talk to our department, to our division. Is that something that they're interested in? And if they are, what type of resources are we going to make sure that we have that type of technology in our classroom?
I see. Well, Archana, you've covered a lot of territory today, and we could only really do it in a broad, general way, but I'm hoping you can come back later sessions and we can talk about student engagement, for example. And you had sent me a checklist of hybrid or blended teaching design, things that instructors need to be looking for as they develop a hybrid class. And so I would like to invite you, if you're interested and can join us again, to take a more in-depth look at hybrid classes and how they're conducted, if that works for you.
Yes, thank you, Bruce. That will be my pleasure. And this hybrid or blended teaching design checklist that you mentioned and that I shared with you, that's something that Faculty Commons created with the director and two other faculty members. And it's a great way to start for faculty members to decide what type of hybrid model they would like to adopt. And also the checklist is for them to make sure that everything is covered to design the class in a very accessible and inclusive way.
So what I'm going to do is I'm including a checklist. The checklist is as a link within the Bellevue College site, and possibly for the YouTube listeners, we might be able to include a checklist as well. But in any case, I want to thank you for joining us today. Are there any last comments you'd like to make, Archana?
Thank you so much. And I just want to mention that the faculty are very interested in these practices and they want to learn more how to implement them. They're welcome to visit the Faculty Commons website or eLearning for technical support, and just click and enroll in one of our wonderful workshops at eLearning and Faculty Commons.
Well, thank you, Archana, and thanks for attending Edge of Ed. And hopefully we'll be seeing you soon later on another related topic.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.